Alrighty, testing, testing. Alright, cool. Audio looks good. As far as I could see, though, the audio is really quiet. I wish there was a way for me to turn up the decibels higher. Um, alright. Is there gain on my mic? Should be. Hello, hello? Okay. So hopefully it's louder now, and hopefully not too loud, but it was definitely too quiet before, so hopefully I'll be able to hear myself better if I look through the live stream. So I'll kind of get set up my end. But yeah, today, just like the title says, my plan is to focus more on backend stuff, more of the login. I have example code that I have that I could just easily reference, but I want to try to work through this as if I don't have any of these resources. If I just had to search, if I just had to just search Google and just use what's on the internet instead of my previous code, what would that look like? So it might take a little bit longer. This is just a really good refresher for me on how JWT and bcrypt and everything works in order to create a proper backend system with some login and everything, with logins and everything like that. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much the general plan. Um, let's see. Everything's in the public. Okay. So first things first, this server folder that I have in my Dos Santos apartment homes repo is going to hold all of my routes and my quote unquote API is just all of the um, kind of like all of the commands I need to do that interact with my database and everything. Um, I need to keep in an API folder, which I can just create right now. The API. And then obviously I'm just going to have my index.js at very least. And then this is going to have my express routes later. So for the time being, maybe I can first start to go over, also as a refresher for me, uh, just how all this login information works and why it's difficult to secure it. So if we have this thing called just the database. Actually, before I even get into all of this, I'm going to go ahead and share this link just in case I have some people who just want to stop by and watch. I need a few moments. Ah, which my account? All right. So we have this database thing, and it can have a lot of different tables inside of it. Um, in one of these tables, if we just look at our schema, we can see what that looks like. Create my diagram, sign in, connect with my GitHub. Let's see if it's here. Users, countries, this definitely doesn't look like it. My diagram, so Santos Apartments. Alrighty, So we can see here we have a couple different tables. All of these are inside of our database. This is what our database schema looks like. So primarily this users is the first thing I want to focus on. I'm going to need some type of primary key, which is obviously the ID, but also an email that people are going to sign in with, as well as a password. But so inside of this table, inside of my database, this is going to hold. Let's see if I can grab this, pull this down. This table is going to be for user, plural, users. And inside of our users table, we're going to have these different columns. We saw what a couple of them are, but let's just break it down a bit further. And probably this isn't the best way to make boxes, but that's okay. So this one, see small text, can be ID. And then we're also going to have email. Then we're going to have pass. And a couple of extra pieces of information. But inside here, inside of my passwords, let's see. So inside of this passwords fields that I have, I don't necessarily want to say, oh, here's password. This is my password. That means if anyone somehow gets access to this database, they just find a way to get into this, they're going to be able to see everyone's password and just get everybody's information. And even I, as the admin or the database manager, I don't want to have this power. I don't want people to have to suspect me that I may have access to their passwords. Um, so it sounds weird, but we want to leave it up to just this database itself to be able to read it and only the database. Um, so eventually someone's gonna have to be able to have to access it somehow, or else an encrypted password of just ooh, of just anything. Um, it's it's not useful if it can't be read at all. So there has to be some kind of system. We just want to make it harder and not so obvious that this is my password. Just shows up as this is my password. So what I want to do is there's a lot of fancy things. There are things called like salt rounds that can help us out with it, make it some kind of different length because hey, even if this were just like a bunch of stars and this somehow is able to be translated, we don't want them to have the exact same number of characters. So salt rounds is going to help give us that like randomization or standardization of how many characters they are, just to make it so it's indifferentiable from just a shorter password like ABC123. So in order to make all these things possible, we have something that uh, that we're going to use. Bcrypt equals encryption, password encryption. So this is more of like a final layer. Even before we start encrypting these passwords into some really strange, long passwords that we're gonna save it as, we also, um, before we kind of have this extra layer of randomness, we actually first need to use something called JWTs, which is going to be more of uh, personal um, access token. So this JWT is going to pretty much create this system where it's indifferentiable, or we have some way of like translating. Um, okay, this is gonna be a bit confusing. I should explain this better, but so first we start off with this is my password. What JWT is going to say is give me a secret key. So key equals like just some random thing. And this thing, hopefully, regular people aren't going to know what this key is. But pretty much we take this password and we mix it with this key using some special, um, just some special like mixing and everything like that. So that this is my password. Eventually it looks like this. So we go from this to this. So we go from this is my password to this. And this is very unique. And this, if it's unencrypted with this key, it's going to give us this is my password. So cool. Now we have this, but now that also means that any person who just has this key is just going to be able to just know that this and this are exactly the same thing. So even if they find our key, we want people to still not be able to necessarily have access to this password, because obviously if a password is used in this database, there are a high chance if there's 1,000 users that there's going to be plenty of users who use the exact same password for every single website, and they're also going to have the same email obviously, and the email probably also has access to the password, which just unlocks the gates to just having everything. So no matter any app, how small, needs to have some real secure stuff built into place. So okay, so this is my password over to this little jumbled mess isn't enough. What we need is this extra layer of bcrypt, a password encryption that is specific just to each app. Bcrypt is just going to generate you some random just another random key, pretty much, one that like we don't even know. Bcrypt is just going to give it to us and say, don't worry, we'll handle this for you, just tell me how many salt rounds, whatever that means. And pretty much bcrypt will do its thing completely separate, and that's going to be a part of our app. And jwt is going to be our own personal access token of where we can say we have control and we understand what the password A is going to look like, or what your password is going to look like in our database. So you can tell there's a lot of layers. If there's anything that you can take away from this, is like, okay, well, what if they have all the information? Obviously, if everyone has all the information, they're going to be able to access the password, because that's the only way people are able to enter in their password on a website and they're able to log in. That's what that power looks like. So we're just here to add in the base minimum layers where it is just very, very, very difficult to hack into the system, somehow use the internal system to like use the bcrypt encryption, and also have access to our private personal access token. So there's a lot of layers that we're trying to build on top of each other, and how to do that in code, it can got to get a little bit complicated. Honestly, anytime you do this up, you should just be Googling and following along with the instructions, but you should understand what's exactly happening while you're building out this database. So what I'm here to do with you is learn how to do it from scratch and not just try to copy and paste the answer. I really want to be able to explain all the way through exactly what's happening inside of the code. I'm going to start playing some music for myself because I like to listen to music. And in case anyone's curious, listening to YOASOBI, it's always a good time to listen to. All right, so what I'm going to start off with is JWT, how to use JWT for and say JavaScript. So Geeks for Geeks, they have not let me down really. Okay, so first we need .env, which is good. So this .env pretty much lets you create this environment variable, which you can create a file for your .env. This .env file, you can tell it's already grayed out. We don't want this saved, so when I first made this repository, you can check my git ignore, I already have this .env in here, which is why it's grayed out. This is just something we definitely do not want as to be uploaded. This is going to hold all of those secret keys that I mentioned here. So this key right here, this is going to be inside, or this key right here, apologies, is going to be inside of our env file. So this is something you don't want to share. We're just going to have something like JWT token equals, and then some random thing here. So I'm not going to keep it as that. I'm going to actually do that off camera. So yeah, I'll handle that later. That's not the important part right now. Right now, we want to get this JWT authentication up and running so that in our database, I won't be able to just say, Like, anyhow, let's try to start building it out. We'll be able to see a couple more examples on how all of this is going to piece together as we build this app out. So, okay, npm install .env. Maybe I could have put that in my development dependencies. Maybe, maybe not. Next is going to be JWT, which is JSON Web Token. JWT is an abbreviation of this. So let's go ahead and install this. It has some vulnerabilities. I don't know what they are, where it's coming from, sadly. Um, let's see. All steps, create your project, create a new project, use npm init perfect, install modules, cool, create our server. So now we have this express equals .env, jwt, xcons app equals express, .env, env.config. I haven't really had to configure it per se. Okay, so we're listening. Create the config file, port JWT secret key, token header key. Okay. I'd have to. I need a reminder on what this token header key is for. I feel like it's something that you can have, but isn't necessarily necessary. Let's see. Create a route for generating a JWT. Creating a post request that sends a JWT token in a response. So now we have to create a post response, validate user here, then generate JWT token. The JWT token equals process.env. Let data equals time.date. User ID 12, const token equals JWT.sign. Res.send. Creator for generating JWT, res.send token. Create a route for validating it. Cool. Let's validate token. This one's a nice one. Full index.js file. They have a post route to generate the token, and they send that token over to somewhere. App.get. And this is like more of a comparison. They have a token header key, JWT secret key. So now we have an asynchronous function here. This token is equal to the header token header key. Not too much explanation on it. Let's see if we can find another. Okay, so this is what I want to see. Implement register and login functionality. We'll be implementing these two routes in our application. This will be using JWT to assign the credentials and bcrypt to encrypt the passwords. From the register route, we will get the user input, validate the user input, validate if the user already exists, encrypt the user password, create the user in our database, finally create a signed JWT token. Modify the register route structure we created earlier to look as shown below. So we have a post route called register, which is saying this is information that we got from the front end. This is information that they inputted that they want us to use. So now, let's see. So if we don't have everything, then go ahead and send a 400 with a message. And check if the user already exists. Validate if user exists in our database. Old user old user equals await user to find one. If old user exists, then the user already exists. Encrypted password. So now we're using bcrypt here, bcrypt.hash password, which is the one that we were given with 10 salt rounds, that looks like. Now the user is now we're creating it with this encrypted password. And now we're creating a JWT signed token. So token is equal to jwt.sign. So this is where we're actually signing it. User ID is going to be the user dot. I don't know if this is a typo right here. This looks very interesting. User ID is the user dot underscore ID and the email. And so that's going to be the first argument. Second argument is going to be the process env for the token key. And this thing expires in 2 hours. I haven't really dealt with expirations on the tokens actually. The user.token is equal to token. This token is this signed JWT. Response turn after successful registration. Okay. I'm just gonna check the actual documentation. Intro. Okay. It's a JSON web token. It's an open standard that defines a compact and self-centered way to secure information in the JSON object. This information can be verified and trusted because it is digitally signed. This can be signed using a secret or public-private key. Although JWTs can be encrypted and also provide security between two parties, or between parties, focus on the signed tokens. Signed tokens can verify the integrity of the claims contained within it, while encrypted tokens hide those claims from other parties. When tokens are signed using public-private key pairs, the signature also verifies that only the party holding the private key is the one that signed it. Alright. Signed with a secret. If you want to play with JWT, you can put these concepts into practice and use JWT.io debugger. Object will be returned. These tokens are credentials. Okay, and prevent privacy issues. In general, you should not keep tokens longer than required. Whenever a user wants to access a protected route or resource, user agent should send a JWT, typically the authorization header using the bearer schema. So this looks really familiar to when you set up OAuth 2. They send JWT through HTTP headers. You should try to prevent them from getting too big. If the token is sent in an authorization header, CORS, good old CORS, would be an issue as it doesn't use cookies. JWT can use public-private user signing. So I used to be able to find this document. I kind of walked more through it. I wonder if it's this one. Excuse me. Okay. Back here. Documentation. Node.js. Alright. So optimize JWT.sign. It includes a private, the payload, the key, and any additional options. Business seconds. Alrighty, well, this is going to be a long day for sure. So let's go ahead and actually start building out this back end more. I feel like there's just so many things that we're going to need to do, so let's start handling one thing at a time. Okay, so now we have our Express. Express route. Okay. Alrighty. This app.use. So right now I'm in my the main path inside my server folder. So this is the main file that reads through all of our backend routes. So first we can see that we're defining this app because this is our application. It's holding all of the actual URLs, which is being using Express. And we can also see that we're also parsing all of this into JSON. So now we know we're just dealing with JSON that's coming through and that we're sending over to the front end or wherever else we're sending it to. This one is using Express static, path join of the current dir name, going back one step and using the public folder. So we're serving the primarily our index HTML, our style CSS, and our bundle.js, which is going to be the actual application itself. This is where everything's being bundled to, and this is being served on our Express app. So now, after we have all those things done, the next thing we want to do is we want this / API route to let's see, Chris, next. What we're doing here now is we're saying all API routes should be going through this, but I believe for app.use API, we can say require, excuse me, API. So this is something more that's just middleware, I believe. It's going to say, okay, so when we find this route at the beginning, actually just go ahead and look for the routes in this API folder and the index file inside of the folder. I'm gonna go ahead and save this for now. Index.js. And now inside of here, I'm actually going to create some routes. So I'm gonna just save real quickly. API const router equals require express dot router. I believe that's correct. Yes. App.get. Okay, I do not know what just happened right there. Oh, because I said app. Router.get. And then this one's going to be forward slash just for some testing. Rack res next, some basic express routes, and res.send. This is the API route. API. I'll go ahead and save this and module.exports equals router. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. Yeah, start getting sudo. I still don't remember the commands. PSQL, WSL. Sudo service PostgreSQL start. 1213. Oh, I shouldn't say that out loud. Let's see. Okay, so now npm run start server. Npm run. Let's see. Build watch. Let's see. Let's see. API. This is the API route. Perfect. So now we can see here this our front end and back end are being hosted on the same server. This is going to stop us from having any of those cross origin reference errors. But in general, I feel like bigger apps will have these two hosted in two separate spots, and we'll just have access to each other's servers. Excuse me. But now these anything with this forward slash API forward slash, all of these routes are generally going to be sending more JSON data rather than just a home page, which is more just like actually what you want other people to see. This is called the front end, and these API or these special URLs, these are going to be something separate. And it looks like it's not an expected token. Oh, home API. That's not what we want. This one API. Cool. So this backend section that we have, this entire server folder, this is what we want to focus on today. Let's see. On top of the API, when it comes to authentication, I'm actually just gonna create a new folder called, I think generally it's me. I don't really know why, but index.js. I'm gonna just call it me instead of auth. Maybe if I want to switch it later, I will, but for now, this is okay. If I want to do any type of things related to JWTs or like my authentication, I'm going to start building it in here. Another folder or another file I might make is just specifically for middleware, but we'll figure that out later. That's more after we get this all this JWT bcrypt pieces of information figured out, which we are not close yet. We're not close. So, all right. Now that we have more of kind of what looks like an actual app with these additional routes and an actual backend API section, let's try to figure out what we actually need to do. In terms of our API, We want a couple of very basic things. We want an API login, an API sign up, an API, I want to say logout. No, sign up is going to be the most important one for now. Let's also move that up. So let's see, router.get, sign up, res next. And inside of here, another thing we're going to want to do is we want to import our database actually. Const db equals require, go back, db, is it index.js? Yes, db. Okay. So now, from this point, I should be able to do something like db.create. And then I need to pass in all of the information. So, more than db, I need user specifically. User, not db.create. I want to create a user specifically. So user.create. So user.create where first name John, last name Doe. I like single quotes, I like double quotes. I'm not sure yet. Email johndoe@gmail.com. Let's see, password, legitimate password. Let's see, what other pieces of info are required? So our users need email, password, first name, last name, and phone number. You shouldn't force them to have a phone number, I feel like. That seems like it would be. Do I even want to keep this in here? Honestly, I would say we probably don't even need to require a phone number, to be honest. I guess it's nice if we have it, but it seems unnecessary, especially for this kind of app. Oh, it's just an extra piece of info we can keep maybe if I don't know, it's good to have, but unnecessary, so we just won't make it a requirement. So let's see. What is this? Instead of our API routes. So this should be able to allow us to create it. And then we can also say const user equals user.create. And then we get the res.send user. So now record. Yeah, where is that? API index. API index. Higher. That looks better. That's being served. This is good. Okay. So now, right now, all I'm saying is create this user with all of this data. Sign up. Will this work? What is our backend saying? Nothing? You're being quiet. Hmm. Your JSON was stored into window.json. Interesting. store in window.json. So I guess what I can do now is I can let's see. Oh man, what is this? Let's see. I want to actually check up. So sudo u PostgreSQL. So open up another terminal, take a look inside, and this Santos. Select all from users. So now we have John Doe at gmail.com, legitimate password, John Doe. Perfect. So it looks like this is working well. When we try to access this API route, we're creating a user with this information. Now, obviously, we don't want to just somehow um, we don't want to have this all fixed. Like it shouldn't just be automatically creating a user. We want to take that information from the request. Pretty much, we want them sending us data, and we want to create a user based off of that data. And let's see. So the const. Let's see. Or the fields actually. Const first name, last name, email, password equals rec.body. So rec.body or request.body means the body of what's being sent into this route is going to be some type of object. And from this object, I want to destructure the piece of information that I need. And that way I can just say user.create first name, last name, email, password. And obviously, we're going to have to keep getting more specific because do we want to create another user if the user already exists? There's a lot of things that we have to try to account for, but we'll try to build it out one step at a time. Before I do that, I'm going to need a quick bathroom break, so I will be right back. Alrighty, back to coding. All right, so far we know this API route, this API signup route is working. Um, we are able to create a user using this route, but the next step we need is now creating it based off of the information that's being passed in. So let's see. The next thing I want to go ahead and do is I want to see if I have Postman. I don't believe I do because Postman is going to be great for the next step of what we're looking to do. Um, what Postman is going to do for us, oh man, I'm downloading in Windows, so I'm sure this probably offends some people, but anyhow, Postman is just a great way for you to actually make these calls to these API routes and actually pass in some data into it without having to use my front end. We want to isolate each issue individually, or more than issue, just each component that we want to test out individually to make sure they're all working before we try to connect it using this front end stuff. And, you know, we want to keep things as simple as possible. In order to do that, I need to be able to test this back end route without a front end. And that's where Postman comes in and comes to the rescue. Sign in. Sign in with Google. Why not? Use my email. Open Postman. Excuse me. Make my new collection. Dos Santos apartment homes. See. Ooh, don't want to make a new collection. What I want is a new route. Let's see. This is going to be with host 8,000 API sign up. Now, I said rec.body earlier. This is that rec.body. What I want to do is I want to send it some raw data in the form of JSON. So now I can send it an object, and what this is going to hold is it's going to hold a first name, Joey, last name, so not a doe, duck, Joey Duck. Um, and also for JSON, everything is a string. First name, last name. Okay, seems like that's not the only problem. I'm sending raw JSON data. What does it not like about this? JSON is an object that holds key value pairs. Email joeyduck@gmail.com. Password Joey's pass. Oh yeah, it's because it needs double quotes. It is. It needs double. First name. Okay, I should just restart. First name. Joey. Last name. Duck. Email. Um, email joeyduck@gmail.com. Password Joey's password. Hi. Now I have this in the body, and I want to go ahead and send this request over. So when I send this, I get an empty object as the return. So actually, what I actually wanted to do is I wanted to return this object back to me after it creates the user. I'm gonna assume it's blank because I did not actually await this, because obviously creating something in a database requires some time, and I can complete each line in like 1/60th of a second, I think, or something like that. Um, so I didn't give myself enough time. This should be an asynchronous function, and this should be awaited. But that is not my biggest concern. My biggest concern is that this user was created, which in this case, it does not look like it was. So let me go ahead and save this code and try running this one more time. Okay, so now I have ID 1 Joey Duck. So now I have Joey Duck, but I don't have Mr. John Doe. So now if I run this again, oh, this needs to be unique, and in this case, it is not unique. So one thing that I can do to make this a little bit more explicit is I can say find or create. And what find or create does is it makes this user an it makes this user an array, and this array has two arguments. One of them is going to be the actual if it finds something, it'll create something if it can't find anything, and in either case, that object will be returned back to you. But in the case that it was found and not created, it's actually going to have a second argument that's slightly different. But honestly, I'm not sure if that's the first or second argument. So let's see. Find or create equalize. Find or create. Now this is going to return an array. It will return an instance and a boolean. So for the way it's written here, it sounds like the boolean is the second value, which is a 0 or 1, is how I remember it. So I'm going to say if user at element at position 1 exists, so if it was created, let's see, if I create or user username, a user created, okay. That's actually a boolean, so it's just a true or false value, it seems like. So now I can say user, and then I created. That's definitely better. Destructure it there. So if created, res dot status 400. I say 400 for now. I'll send. User already exists. Then else. And otherwise, go ahead and just send the user. I'll save this. Else, send the user data. So now, also should do this. Just write some proper code. Or early on, but all the more reason to make sure to do it right in the first place. So this is a try catch. This is for asynchronous functions. It's like, okay, go ahead and try this. If for some reason the asynchronous function does not work, what are we supposed to do? console.log the error. I'm also gonna relay against this error. That's like the abbreviation. So, okay, what happens if we send this request again now? Taking a bit of time for some reason. Missing an attribute in the options parameter passed into Finder create. Please note this API has changed and is now options only, an object with where default keys. Ah, missing where API has changed and is now options only, an object where default. Let's see. Let's go ahead and see what we're actually getting back from this. Gotta send this. Hi. Okay. Missing an attribute in the... Alright, time to figure out what's going on. This is, trying to create is a sequelize thing. So our sequelize 6 v6 sequelize. Oh, I need to say where. Silly me. It's not different from when I learned it. I just forgot an extra step. So when you say find or create, I need to send in an object. Where email or email and then default email password first name last name. I don't need the extras. Yeah, yeah, I'll just keep this one liner. Okay. So now what I'm saying is I want to either find or create this user where the email is matching. If not, then go ahead and update it with all this information. Let's go and trace back to user created. If created, then go ahead and do all that. Save that. Let's run this postman request and see what we get. User already exists. Dang, Ducky Jill already exists. Okay, but what if they just have the first name and last name? And all that's different is that this is actually Joey Duck 2 and password 2. So I go ahead and send this. It says the user still already exists. How strange is that? Okay. Interesting. Let's check what the database looks like right now. So regardless of what we're doing, it's giving us this, it's saying that, okay, it was created. Um, hmm. What if I'm just a little bit more explicit about this? That user still exists, and then add more stuff to it. We're still saying the user exists. Hmm. Huh. I wonder if there's a reason why users are also getting deleted. It wasn't created. That's very silly for me. Okay. I sent it again. It should be false. User already exists. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, so now this is working. So if it's not created, then go ahead and send this that the user already exists. I don't know why before it seemed like, or I still have this problem where it seems like the users are getting deleted as time goes on. It's just not make really any sense. I don't know what might be deleting these users. Hmm. Is it every single time we get an error, the server is resetting? Um, you don't want to force it. Forcing things should only be done one time. Um, I'm gonna assume that's what was causing the issue. Okay, so now we should have a good sign up page, but now we can see Joey's password. We don't want to expose Joey's password to the world. So now our next step is going to be to encrypt it. So let's see. Next step is going to be, and also Skeledraw. I'm gonna have to re-update this. Because it seems like it's slightly incorrect, and this is one of the good reasons why I need to redo it from scratch. So just to make sure I have the most solid understanding of how this authentication portion is working. So next thing I want to look up is bcrypt node.js. Did I install bcrypt yet? I don't believe so. Okay, so we require bcrypt, we have salt rounds, we have some password. So bcrypt generate salt rounds. Hash a password. Technique 1 is to generate a salt and hash on separate function calls. Auto generate, excuse me, a salt in hash. Bcrypt.hash, plain text password, salt rounds, and function error hash. Store hash in your password database. Okay. The sign up should really be in this me. I'm gonna move this. Very silly of me. Okay, so instead of this me, I want to have the sign up route and const. Let's see, let router equals require express router. Uh, all right, a little bit at a time. Don't move too quickly. Don't delete something that I don't need to delete. Oh, wait, that's already copy and pasted in. Let's see, me sign up. Save this. Get rid of this. Save this. Don't need this user. Okay. No. First name, last name, email, password required. Ugh. So now the interesting thing about Express is you can go ahead and add in a new function here um, and actually encrypt the password right here. Let's see. Let's see. All right. New folder, middleware, index.js, const hash equals const bcrypt equals require bcrypt. Okay. Yes. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing this middleware section. Okay. Gonna leave this blank for now. Sorry for creating you. I'm not using you yet. Okay, me. Find or create the user. If it wasn't created, then say the user already exists. Else, what I want to go ahead and do is now I want to go ahead and hash this. So now I want to say, so now I don't want to use this find or create over here because I don't want it to just automatically create this. So user.create here is fine. But before I create this user, uh, no, I need to switch things up a little bit. Before, I was kind of handling it more of just kind of like we're gonna create it if it's there, find it if it's, create it if it isn't there, find it if it is there type of deal. But rather than that, what we actually want to do is, let's see, const email or temp user. I don't know what to call this yet. User dot find. So find predicate value number object into array. Ascending order until it finds or predicate returns true. So element find immediately returns element value. Otherwise, find returns undefined. So find the email if found return send. Okay. So now if we find it here, then we're going to send this error. If we don't find the email, then what we can do is we can now use our bcrypt hashing function here and say bcrypt.hash result rounds. Result rounds. I feel like I should just be able to say 10 here, but maybe not. No, I'm just gonna say 10. 10 hash rounds. Hash user password. It would bcrypt hash user password salt. So if it doesn't find the user here, so what I want to do is I want to hash the password and then see first I want to await this and then const user equals await user dot create. Just move this up here actually. Email password is going to be hash pass actually. First name, last name. Res.send user. Fill one means something was created. And also there should be a post route because I'm creating something. So after all those changes, I got a lot of things to check over here. First, this route is changed from me sign up, and now I'm hoping that the password gets saved. It's not just Joey2 password or something like that. So 13, send this. I got something strange back, so I'm gonna assume something did not go too well. Hey, nothing crazy yelling at me. Do I have 13? Try sending this again, see what happens. /me /sign up. Ah, one thing important to do is if I want to create this me route, then I say app.use me require me. Save this, run this again. Try sending it one more time. Could not send the request. View in console. Hash is not a function. Ah, yes. I don't need this middleware thing in here anymore. Save that. Run this one more time. Another error. Hash is not defined. Let's see. Hash. Ah. Save it one more time. Router.use requires a middleware function but got an object. And then this is instead of I would say it is right here. App.use router. Router.post. Requires a middleware function but got an object. Where did this happen? So something is wrong with my routes. I don't feel like that should be it. Router.use requires a middleware function. Router.use results found. Let's take a look. I should export this. There we go. Thank you, Stack Overflow. Let's take a look again. So we're still getting this back, which means we're not hitting the route. Use / me equals require me. Because it's a post route. User.find is not a function. Find equalize. Let's see. Find one. We're gonna sign up again. User already exists. What a shame. Let's create user 14. Create that. It says the user still exists. That's very strange. Try one more time. Yeah, pass info. Thank you, Sequelize. Sequelize isn't all bad. bcrypt is not defined. Alrighty. I don't recommend coding like me at this point. I'm making a lot of errors that um, I'm going through, but okay, perfect. So this time I actually do have this password that's this big long thing. So that's good. People aren't generally gonna know what that is. I'm gonna change the number of rounds to 8 actually. I'm gonna change it to 8. Create user 14, send this request. Okay, cool. Good thing. I'm gonna change it to 5 now. I wanna see how this changes it. 15. Send this request. Here we go. Well, in any case, looks like everything's working out fine. I like it how it is right now. So we do have a sign up. It's hashed, so it's really hard to tell what the password for this actually is. And let's see what happens if we send in. And this password is longer than the others. Make that user 16. We send this. So we can see it's really not that much longer. It's pretty much the same length as the others. So even though this password is crazy long, and this probably is not an acceptable password at most places, at least when we store it, it looks still pretty normal. Okay, well then. So after we encrypt the password, now we can use a JWT token to like digitally sign for this password. I believe is how JWTs work. That's me mostly trying to quote whatever JWT said it was, but pretty much we can store a JSON object very securely to go ahead and trade the info off. Hey, excuse me, I am getting very, very sleepy. What I'm gonna do for now is I'm gonna say git add, git commit, and then put in a message saying bcrypt sign up created and encrypted, no JWT. Cool. Those are 771 insertions. I don't know what might have happened there. The fact that this is open is not a good sign. Alright. Node modules is ignored. So hopefully it wasn't that. Git branch. Update. I guess it's still a run update. Git push. Route update. Origin. Route update. Okay. Let's go ahead and check on this. This package lock JSON is still getting updated for whatever reason. I want this to be ignored. For some reason, even though it's in my get ignore, it's still not ignoring it. Package lock.json, get ignore, not working. You need to remove it from your repo, git remove. Oh, thank you. Okay, cool. I think I need to make another pull request. Git push origin route update. Okay. Refresh this. Route update. There isn't anything to compare, so it seems like it's all matched up, which means package lock JSON is not here. Okay, cool. So I just need to create one last pull request and merge it into main. Um, be, sign up created with sign up created package lock.json removed. Sign up created with bcrypt. No JWT at this time. And as I go through this process, it's good thing there's a lot of these checks and balances because I don't believe this should actually be added into main because this is not completed. It's not necessarily secure. So I'm gonna actually just close this pull request and not approve it. Not ready to be passed into production. Sign up is still in development and not yet complete. Okay, so that's a good comment to add into there. Okay, So I'm gonna leave it at that. I really need to work on this readme more later, but for now, I think I'm gonna call it a day for this stream. And I may work more on this later this evening, but for now, I think I am gonna call it here. So thanks so much for joining. Appreciate it, and take care. Hope everyone has a good rest.